The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the tranquil woods. Towering trees stood like sentinels, their leaves whispering secrets to the gentle breeze that danced through the branches. The air was rich with the earthy scent of damp soil and pine, and the melodic sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves created a symphony of nature that enveloped the surroundings. This was a place where time seemed to slow down, where one could escape the chaos of everyday life and immerse themselves in the serenity of the wilderness. As the hiker ventured deeper into this enchanting forest, each step echoed softly on the carpet of fallen leaves, punctuated by the occasional crack of twigs underfoot. The path meandered through patches of sunlight, filtering down through the dense canopy above, illuminating wildflowers that dotted the ground with splashes of color. It was a picturesque scene, idyllic and peaceful, a stark contrast to what lay beneath its surface. Yet, hidden amid this beauty were dangers that loomed silently. The hiker was well aware that nature was not without its perils. As much as it beckoned with its charm, it also concealed traps set by humans, remnants of a world that often clashed with wildlife. It was this dissonance that brought an unsettling tension to the otherwise serene atmosphere. Without warning, a flash of movement caught the hiker's eye, a rustle in the underbrush, a fleeting shadow darting between trees. The hiker paused, heart racing slightly as they scanned the area. Thoughts raced through their mind. Was it a deer? Perhaps a rabbit? Or something larger? Curiosity piqued. They cautiously moved toward the sound, drawn by an instinctive need to explore. As they approached a small clearing, their breath caught in their throat. There, partially obscured by ferns and undergrowth, lay a bear trap, its metallic jaws glinting ominously in the dappled light. The sight sent chills down their spine. This mechanical monstrosity was a stark reminder of humanity's intrusive presence in these woods. It was not just an object. It represented pain and suffering for any creature unfortunate enough to encounter it. The hiker took a step closer, kneeling beside the trap to inspect it more closely. It was rusted and old, yet still capable of inflicting harm. Their hearts sank at the thought of an animal caught in its unforgiving grip, an innocent being ensnared by human negligence. A surge of empathy welled within them. They could almost imagine the fear and confusion that would accompany such an ordeal. With each passing moment, an internal battle raged within the hiker. They knew they should turn back. After all, approaching a bear trap posed risks not only for them, but also for any wildlife nearby. Yet another part urged them forward, reminding them of their commitment to protect nature and its inhabitants. The decision weighed heavily on their conscience. How could they walk away knowing that an animal might be suffering just beyond reach? As if sensing their turmoil, a soft sound broke through the stillness. A faint whimpering echoed from nearby bushes. The hiker's heart raced anew. There was no doubt now that there was danger close at hand. They stood up quickly and scanned the surrounding area, anxiety tightening their chest. What if there was indeed a bear trapped close by? What if it was injured or frightened? Could they really leave without attempting to help? The thought gnawed at them like hunger pangs as they felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility wash over them. In this moment of clarity among uncertainty, they made up their mind. They would confront this challenge head-on. The tranquility of these woods had been shattered by human actions. It was now their duty to restore some balance, if only for one creature in need. As they steadied themselves for what lay ahead, they took one last look at the inviting beauty surrounding them. The sunlight streaming through branches like golden ribbons and the gentle sounds of nature reminding them why they had come here in the first place. This place held magic within its depths, but also held sorrow and pain wrought from carelessness. With resolve igniting within them like a flame against darkness, the hiker grasped firmly onto hope. The hope that perhaps today would be different. Today would mark a turning point not just for one bear, but for all creatures who called these woods home. And so began their journey into unknown territory, not merely through physical paths, but into a deeper understanding of compassion and interconnectedness with all living beings, a journey destined to reveal more than just what awaited them at that bear trap. As the sun continued its descent, casting elongated shadows across the forest floor, the hiker pressed on, their hearts still racing from the earlier encounter with the bear trap. This was not just another day in the woods. It was a calling that stirred something deep within them, a sense of responsibility to protect and preserve the beauty of nature. They were an avid lover of the outdoors, someone who found solace in the embrace of towering trees and the gentle sound of flowing streams. Today, however, would challenge their perception of this beloved sanctuary. The hiker's name was Alex, a devoted naturalist who had spent years traversing these woods. With a sturdy backpack slung over one shoulder and a walking stick in hand, Alex was accustomed to the sights and sounds that surrounded them. They had always felt a connection to the wildlife that shared this habitat, a bond forged through countless moments spent observing animals in their natural behaviors. But nothing could prepare them for what lay ahead. As they rounded a corner, their footfalls muffled by the carpet of leaves beneath them, Alex's keen eyes caught sight of something unusual just ahead. It was partially hidden by thick underbrush, but even from a distance, they could make out the glint of metal. Curiosity piqued. They approached cautiously, sensing that something was amiss. When they broke through the last line of ferns and emerged into a small clearing, the sight that met their gaze struck them like a bolt of lightning. There it was, the bear trap, its steel jaws ominously poised as if waiting for its next victim. The shocking realization hit Alex like a wave. They were witnessing firsthand the cruel realities that often accompanied human encroachment into wildlife territories. A lump formed in Alex's throat as they knelt down next to the trap, examining its condition. The rust and grime suggested it had been there for some time, abandoned and forgotten by those who had set it. But what haunted them most was the thought of an innocent creature caught in its merciless grip. Alex's heart raced with concern as they imagined all too vividly the suffering an animal would endure if trapped here alone. What kind of person would do this? They whispered to themselves, anger and sorrow mingling in their chest. It wasn't just about this trap. It represented a larger issue, a disregard for life and an imbalance between humans and nature. The thought weighed heavily on Alex's mind as they scanned their surroundings for any sign of life or movement. "Please be okay," they murmured softly into the stillness of the woods, hoping against hope that no bear had fallen victim to this sinister device. The air felt thick with tension as silence enveloped them. Even the birds seemed to hold their breath in anticipation. Suddenly, an unsettling sound broke through, an echoing rustle nearby, followed by a faint whimpering noise that sent chills down Alex's spine. Their heart raced anew as they straightened up and looked toward where the sound originated. Was it possible? Could there truly be a bear nearby? The prospect both terrified and compelled them forward. With each step taken toward the source of the noise, Alex's mind swirled with emotions. Fear for the animal's safety, anger at those who set such traps, and determination to make things right. They found themselves torn between caution and urgency. Every instinct told them to proceed slowly, yet decisively. As they reached the edge of a thicket, there it was, a glimpse of dark fur just beyond a tangle of branches. Alex's breath hitched in their throat as they carefully parted some undergrowth to peer deeper into the shadows. What they saw sent waves of compassion flooding through them. A young bear, its paw ensnared within another bear trap, a trap much like the one they had encountered moments ago. The sight struck Alex like a physical blow. The bear was clearly frightened. Its wide eyes darted around nervously as it tried to free itself from its predicament. Panic welled up within Alex, but they quickly reminded themselves to stay calm, to think rationally about how best to approach this delicate situation. The young bear shifted uneasily, letting out soft whimpers that echoed heartbreaking vulnerability in contrast to its formidable size and strength. In that moment, all thoughts of fear vanished. All that mattered was helping this creature escape its tormentor. "Hang on," Alex whispered gently, kneeling down so as not to appear threatening. They spoke softly to reassure the bear, while assessing how best to free it, sizing up the trap without startling it further. The gravity of their discovery weighed heavily on Alex's heart as they realized that this wasn't just about freeing one bear. It was about standing up against cruelty imposed upon innocent lives by human hands. This moment would define not only their day, but perhaps reshape how they viewed their role in nature, a protector rather than merely an observer. Determined and resolute, Alex prepared to take action, not knowing yet what challenges awaited them, but fully aware that today would change everything, not just for this bear, but also for themselves. With trembling hands and a racing heart, Alex knelt in the underbrush, staring at the young bear trapped in the cruel jaws of the metal contraption. The whimpering sounds emanating from the frightened creature filled the air, a haunting reminder of its distress. Alex could see the fear etched across the bear's face, its wide eyes darting between the trees and back to the trap as it struggled to free itself. In that moment, all thoughts of danger faded into the background, overshadowed by an overwhelming urge to help. Yet, as much as their hearts screamed for action, Alex knew the path ahead was fraught with peril. A rush of conflicting emotions surged within them. An urgent desire to save this animal clashed with a deep-seated fear of what might happen if they were to approach too quickly. What if the bear panicked and lashed out? What if it had a mother nearby who would defend her cub at all costs? The forest felt alive with potential threats, and they were acutely aware that they were entering a world where instincts ruled. Alex took a deep breath, closing their eyes for a moment as they tried to quell the rising tide of anxiety. They could feel their pulse throbbing in their ears as they weighed their options. On one hand, they could retreat, turn back, and leave nature to take its course, hoping against hope that someone else might come along to help. But would anyone else? Would anyone else even know that this bear was in trouble? The thought of abandoning it left a bitter taste in their mouth. Opening their eyes again, Alex glanced at the bear, whose soft whimpers cut through their indecision like a knife. This was not just an animal caught in a trap. It was a living being deserving of compassion and respect, a creature that had every right to roam freely in its home. How could they stand by while it suffered? They had spent years advocating for wildlife conservation and education. This was their chance, perhaps even their duty, to put those beliefs into action. The hiker's mind raced through possibilities. How could they approach without alarming the bear? What if they could speak softly to reassure it while gently working to free its paw? But then again, there was always the risk that moving too close could exacerbate the situation. The bear might react instinctively out of fear or pain, becoming unpredictable and dangerous. Alex clenched their fists in frustration, grappling with the weight of responsibility pressing down on them. The forest felt both beautiful and treacherous, a delicate balance teetering on the edge of chaos. They envisioned themselves walking away and leaving behind an innocent creature in pain, trapped by human folly. That image ignited another wave of determination within them. They simply couldn't let fear dictate their actions today. Okay, Alex murmured softly to themselves, steadying their breath as resolve took hold. You can do this. They had faced challenges before, hiking treacherous trails, navigating through storms, even helping injured animals when needed, but never had they encountered such raw urgency before. With newfound conviction, Alex shifted their focus back to the young bear. They pulled from deep within themselves a wellspring of calmness, something gentle yet firm, to communicate with it. "Hey there," they whispered soothingly, inching closer while remaining low to the ground. "I'm here to help you." The bear seemed to sense something different about this human. It paused momentarily, attention shifting from fear to curiosity as its soft eyes locked on Alex's gaze. This connection ignited a flicker of hope within Alex's heart. They were making progress. As they continued to move cautiously forward, every instinct urged them to remain vigilant. Time felt elastic. Each second stretched into eternity as Alex slowly extended one hand toward the bear's trapped paw while keeping the other ready for defense if necessary. They knew that any sudden movement could send it into a panic. Just hold on. They cooed softly again, feeling an emotional swell rise within them as they searched for ways to ease both their own anxiety and that of the frightened animal before them. I promise I won't hurt you. Gradually gaining confidence, Alex began working on releasing the trap's mechanism, examining how it functioned while still maintaining eye contact with the bear so it wouldn't feel threatened. Their hands trembled slightly, but remained steady as they maneuvered around sharp edges that could inflict harm on both themselves and the bear. In these moments, suspended between fear and hope, something transformative began to unfold. What started as an instinctual response rooted in compassion now took shape as an act of bravery fueled by love for these creatures that shared our world. With every careful adjustment made to free its paw from captivity, Alex felt more connected, not just to this bear, but also to something larger than themselves, a profound understanding that every act of kindness mattered in preserving life's intricate tapestry. They could no longer imagine walking away without trying. Determination surged through them with renewed vigor as adrenaline coursed through their veins, the kind that comes from knowing you are doing something truly worthwhile. Here, amid whispers of trees and rustling leaves overhead, they made a choice. Today would be about courage over caution, empathy over indifference, hope over despair. And so began Alex's journey. Not merely toward freeing this trapped creature, but also toward fulfilling a promise made long ago, to stand up for those who could not stand up for themselves. And in doing so, forging an unbreakable bond between humanity and nature itself. With a deep breath, Alex steadied themselves, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down like the canopy above. The bear's dark eyes remained fixed on them, a mix of fear and uncertainty swirling within those depths. Every instinct told Alex to proceed with caution. One wrong move could send the bear into a panic, potentially jeopardizing both their safety and the chance to free it from the trap. Slowly, they lowered themselves further, positioning their body closer to the ground to appear less threatening. The rustling leaves beneath them felt like thunder in the stillness of the forest, amplifying every sound as they shifted their weight. Easy now, they whispered soothingly, a soft cadence in their voice aimed at reassuring the frightened creature. I'm here to help. Alex took a moment to observe the bear's paw trapped within the cold metal jaws. It was clear that the creature had struggled. Its fur was matted and dirted with sweat and debris from its frantic attempts to escape. The trap was tightly clasped around its leg, pinching fur against flesh. It was a heart-wrenching sight, and Alex felt a surge of urgency wash over them, mingling with trepidation. The first step was assessing how the trap worked. With their heart racing, Alex leaned in slightly closer, keeping eye contact with the bear as they inspected the mechanism. They had seen traps like this before, but had never had to deal with one up close. A faint metallic scent hung in the air, mingling with earthy aromas of damp soil and foliage. Gently, they reached out their hand toward the trap's spring-loaded lever, aware that even a slight movement could startle the bear further. As they approached, they spoke softly again. You're going to be okay. Just stay calm. The bear's breathing slowed slightly. It seemed to sense Alex's sincerity. Carefully, Alex grasped the lever with one hand while steadying themselves against a nearby tree for support. They could feel their palms growing sweaty as adrenaline coursed through them, but they focused on remaining steady and calm. With a deep inhale to center themselves, they began to apply pressure to release the trap's hold. Just need to get this open, Alex murmured as they pushed down on the lever. The metal groaned under their grip. Tension hung thick in the air as they felt resistance pushing back against their strength. For a moment that felt like an eternity, nothing happened. The trap remained firmly locked in place. The bear shifted slightly, letting out another soft whimper as it tried to pull away instinctively. Alex glanced up quickly, meeting its gaze once more. No, stay still, they urged gently but firmly. I know this is scary. They took another steadying breath before adjusting their grip and trying again. This time, Alex applied more force while simultaneously trying to keep their movements fluid and gentle. Slowly but surely, they felt the mechanism begin to yield. First one side, then another, as tension released ever so slightly. A surge of hope surged within them. Perhaps this would work. But just then, an unexpected sound shattered the fragile calm. A snap of a twig behind them sent both Alex and the bear into alert mode. The bear's eyes widened in fear as it instinctively pulled harder against the trap. "Easy, easy," Alex called out desperately, while turning slightly to scan for any signs of danger that might have caused such a disturbance. Their heart raced anew as they realized how exposed they were. One wrong move could send this bear into survival mode. They refocused on their task at hand, shaking off concern and redirecting all their energy toward freeing this creature from its entrapment. With renewed determination burning bright within them, Alex returned their attention to the trap, now more determined than ever not to let fear win. Using both hands this time, one gripping each side of the lever, they pushed down with all their strength while also pulling up on the other side where it locked into place. The combination of pressure on both sides created enough leverage that finally, the trap released its hold. Alex gasped in disbelief as relief flooded through them at that sound. The sweet sound of freedom. But there was no time for celebration. They needed to act quickly before anything changed that fragile trust between them and the bear. Gingerly, Alex slid their hand toward the bear's paw, now freed from its metallic prison, but remained cautious about making any sudden movements that could alarm it again. They had witnessed firsthand how fear could drive animals into unpredictable behavior. Every action mattered immensely right now. The young bear blinked at them, confusion mingling with gratitude as it tested its freed paw gingerly against the ground for stability. For a heartbeat or two, time suspended in those fleeting moments, the world around them fell away. It was just Alex and this young creature, united by an unbreakable bond forged through compassion. "I did it," Alex whispered softly under their breath, relief washing over them like rain after a drought as tears brimmed at the corners of their eyes. Their hearts swelled with pride knowing they had intervened when it mattered most. But even as joy filled their spirit and hope illuminated this moment, it wasn't over yet. There was still much left unsaid between them and this remarkable animal who now stood before them raw with emotion, a silent testament of resilience against adversity. With caution but purpose guiding their movements now, knowing fully well what lay ahead, Alex prepared to back away slowly from the scene they'd created together. One where fear had been met by courage. One where empathy led to redemption, not just for an innocent soul trapped by human negligence, but also for themselves. A reminder that compassion could indeed heal wounds unseen amidst nature's tangled web of life. As the trap finally released its hold, a palpable tension dissolved into the air. Alex recoiled slightly, their heart pounding as they stepped back to give the bear space. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. The young bear, still bewildered from its ordeal, blinked rapidly as it tried to process what had just happened. Its wide eyes darted from the now open trap to Alex and back again, confusion etching itself across its expressive face. The bear's paw was free, but it appeared unsure of what to do next. It shifted its weight tentatively, testing the ground beneath it as if rediscovering its own strength. The initial confusion was evident. It looked from side to side, assessing the forest around it in a mix of caution and wariness. Alex held their breath, knowing that this was a critical moment in their shared experience. "Take your time," they murmured softly, hoping their voice would provide some comfort. "You're safe now." The bear paused for a heartbeat, seemingly processing the sound of Alex's voice before continuing to take small steps away from the trap. Each movement was careful and deliberate, as if it were learning how to navigate the world all over again. As the bear moved away from the trap, it glanced back at Alex, uncertainty flickering in those deep brown eyes. There was a hint of curiosity mingled with apprehension. It was clear that the bear was trying to gauge whether this human meant harm or help. Alex could relate to that feeling, the instinctual wariness that arose when faced with something unknown. The young bear took another cautious step backward, still eyeing Alex, as if weighing its options. It seemed torn between wanting to flee and an innate curiosity about the human who had just intervened in its life. The forest felt eerily quiet, every rustle of leaves or distant bird call amplified in this moment of fragile connection. Alex remained still, allowing the bear the space it needed to process what had just transpired. They understood that trust could not be rushed. It had to be earned over time through patience and understanding. "You're okay," they repeated gently, their voice barely above a whisper. "I'm here for you." Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the young bear dropped its head low and sniffed the ground around where the trap had been, a natural instinct to investigate this new environment after experiencing such trauma. It took tentative steps forward again, but kept glancing back at Alex, gauging their presence with every cautious movement. Alex watched in awe as the bear began to regain its composure. There was an elegance in its movements, a blend of grace and wariness that showcased both its strength and vulnerability. As it took a few more steps away from the trap, it seemed to gather confidence with each passing moment. But then something shifted in the air, a noise, perhaps just a rustling leaf or a stray twig snapping, caused the bear to freeze mid-step, ears perked up and alert. Instinct kicked in once more as it scanned the area surrounding them for potential threats. Alex could see that primal instinct kicking into gear, the urge to be on high alert against any dangers lurking nearby. Realizing this might be a pivotal moment for both of them, Alex remained completely still, breath held tight in their chest, waiting for the bear to decide how it would respond next. The air crackled with tension as moments stretched out like eternity. After several seconds that felt like hours, the young bear exhaled audibly and resumed, taking small steps away from where it had been trapped. However, every few feet it would stop and glance back at Alex, as if reassessing whether this human truly posed no threat. In those brief exchanges of eye contact, the bear's gaze filled with questions while Alex's held reassurance. An unspoken dialogue unfolded between them, one that spoke of survival and newfound hope against adversity. The forest felt alive around them, as if nature itself were watching this poignant reunion unfold, a silent witness to an act of compassion that had transcended fear and adversity. Finally, after what felt like an arduous journey toward trust building in mere minutes, something remarkable began to happen. The young bear took one last look at Alex, a lingering gaze filled with an inexplicable blend of gratitude and curiosity, before turning away fully and moving deeper into the woods. Alex watched with bated breath as the bear put distance between them, but rather than flee in panic, it walked purposefully forward with renewed vigor, a creature rediscovering its freedom after captivity. Each step taken by the young bear felt like a silent nod toward resilience. It was reclaiming not just its physical space, but also its spirit. In that moment of liberation, the bond forged through compassion became palpable. There lay a connection unbreakable by circumstance or fear, one rooted firmly in shared experiences amidst nature's embrace. As they stood together on either side of this emotional divide, one human seeking solace through kindness while another animal sought safety through instinct. Both were reminded that healing often comes not just from actions taken, but also from understanding what lies beneath. A shared journey marked by courage paving paths toward hope against all odds. And so began a new chapter, not solely for this young bear who emerged transformed, but also for Alex, forever changed by witnessing firsthand how acts of kindness can reverberate through nature's intricate web of life. A powerful reminder that compassion is indeed universal in all forms, even when spoken without words. As the young bear took a few tentative steps away, Alex remained rooted in place, watching intently as the creature began to regain its confidence. The forest, once filled with the sounds of startled rustling and anxious whimpers, now hung in a serene silence that felt almost sacred. Time seemed to slow as both the hiker and the bear entered a moment suspended in tranquility, one that would forever mark their encounter. Then, as if drawn together by an invisible thread, their gazes locked. Alex's heart raced at the intensity of that connection, their eyes meeting across the distance that separated them. In that instant, everything else faded away. There were no more fears or uncertainties. It was just the two of them, sharing a profound understanding forged through shared vulnerability and unspoken empathy. The young bear stood still, its dark eyes shimmering like polished amber in the dappled sunlight filtering through the trees. For a heartbeat, it seemed to recognize something in Alex, a kindred spirit who had chosen to intervene when it mattered most. In those depths of emotion, Alex could see echoes of fear, confusion, and ultimately relief mirrored back at them. They could feel the weight of that gaze. The bear was not merely a wild creature. It was a living being grappling with the complexities of existence. Time stretched on as they exchanged this silent dialogue. Each second felt laden with meaning. Alex understood that this was more than just an encounter between a human and an animal. It was a testament to resilience and survival. Here stood a creature who had faced adversity head-on and emerged on the other side, albeit shaken but undeniably stronger. In that shared moment of eye contact, there was also an unmistakable respect for life itself. The young bear was no longer just a victim of circumstance. It was a warrior embodying the spirit of the wild, a testament to nature's resilience against human encroachment. And for Alex, there was an overwhelming realization that their own struggles paled in comparison to what this bear had endured. "Thank you," Alex whispered softly into the quietness between them, though they knew the bear couldn't understand their words. But somehow, they hoped this creature could feel the sincerity radiating from their heart, grateful for its strength and endurance, while reaffirming their commitment to protect such beauty in the world. The bear blinked slowly, as if processing this shared sentiment. Its ears twitched slightly, an instinctive response, but there was no indication of fear or aggression. Instead, there was only curiosity and perhaps even acknowledgement of their encounter's significance. This brief exchange transcended language, both beings recognizing their interconnectedness amidst nature's complex tapestry. After what felt like an eternity, a precious gift wrapped in silence, the bear shifted its stance slightly, breaking the spell between them but not severing their bond. It took another cautious step forward but paused once again to look back at Alex, holding them in that gaze just a heartbeat longer before turning away fully to continue its journey into the depths of the woods. In that fleeting moment when their eyes met, something monumental had occurred. An understanding blossomed between two beings from different worlds, yet united by compassion and shared experiences. Alex felt an overwhelming wave of emotion wash over them. Tears brimmed at the edges of their eyes as they realized how deeply transformative this encounter had been, not just for the bear, but for themselves as well. The young bear ambled off slowly into its natural habitat, a world filled with possibilities waiting just beyond those trees. Each step reflected newfound freedom gained through courage and kindness. It moved with grace now rather than fear, its spirit unbroken despite having faced adversity head-on. Alex watched until the last glimpse of dark fur disappeared among the undergrowth before allowing themselves a moment to process what had just happened. They took several deep breaths filled with gratitude for having been part of something so meaningful, something that transcended mere rescue. It was about reconciliation with nature itself. In this sacred space where they had once felt helplessness, now lay empowerment through action taken out of love and respect for life. This encounter would forever be etched into their memory, a reminder that even amid struggle and uncertainty, connections could be forged through acts of compassion. As they turned to leave the clearing behind them, the air still tinged with emotion. Alex felt lighter somehow, as if burdens long carried had lifted from their shoulders. They knew they would carry this moment with them, the memory of that unbreakable bond formed through shared understanding. and use it as fuel for future endeavors aimed at protecting wildlife and preserving nature's delicate balance. With each step back along the trail leading homeward, Alex found themselves smiling softly, a smile born from hopefulness rather than sorrow, a belief in second chances not only for bears, but also for all creatures striving to reclaim their lives amid human interference. And so began a new chapter, not just for one young bear free from captivity, but also for Alex, who had learned firsthand how compassion could create ripples far beyond what any single act might suggest, a legacy woven into nature's intricate fabric forevermore. As the young bear ventured deeper into the woods, uncertainty lingered in its eyes, yet a flicker of curiosity ignited within. The moment of hesitation only lasted briefly. It was as if this brave creature stood at the precipice of two worlds, the realm of fear and confinement, now left behind, and a vast expanse of freedom that lay ahead. With each cautious step, it began to shed the weight of its former captivity. Soon, the bear paused and turned back for one last glance at Alex, who remained still at the edge of the clearing. In those moments, something shifted in the air. The tension that had filled the space between them dissipated as the bear's expression transformed from confusion to something more playful and curious. It seemed to sense that it was no longer trapped, that the world around it was open for exploration. With a sudden burst of energy, the bear bounded forward into a patch of sunlight filtering through the trees. It paused again, standing tall with its head raised high, nostrils flaring as it took in the myriad scents swirling around. Fresh pine, damp earth, and distant wildflowers beckoning from hidden clearings. Freedom tasted sweet on the breeze, and the bear instinctively felt drawn to embrace it. In a playful mood now, it began to frolic through tufts of grass and wildflowers that danced in the gentle wind. The once cautious creature now reveled in its new-found lease on life. It rolled onto its back and kicked its legs playfully in the air, exuberance radiating from every movement. Alex couldn't help but chuckle at this display, a beautiful reminder that joy could be rediscovered after hardship. The young bear then sprang back onto its feet and darted toward a nearby tree. With surprising agility, it began to climb, its claws gripping bark effortlessly as it ascended with a child's delight. It reached a sturdy branch where it perched momentarily, surveying its surroundings like a king atop its throne. From this vantage point, it could see beyond the underbrush and into the sprawling forest, a world rich with possibilities. Alex watched in awe as the bear explored its new environment with unrestrained enthusiasm. Each leap and bound echoed with an invitation to celebrate life, a dance between nature's elements and this spirited creature reclaiming its place within them. It leaped down from the branch and landed gracefully on all fours before trotting over to a patch of sun-warmed rocks where it sniffed curiously at everything in sight. It pawed playfully at a fallen branch, nudging it with its nose as though testing its strength before flipping it over with one swift motion. The branch tumbled without resistance, causing a small cascade of leaves to scatter in all directions. The bear reared up slightly on its hind legs, playfully batting at the errant leaves as they swirled around it like confetti celebrating this moment of liberation. Alex couldn't contain their smile any longer. Watching this transformation unfold was both humbling and exhilarating. Here was a being who had faced adversity with strength, now embodying pure joy as it engaged with life anew. The connection they had shared in that clearing had sparked something profound, not just for themselves, but for this young bear who was finally able to embrace what it meant to be wild and free. With each playful interaction, whether chasing after drifting leaves or climbing trees, the young bear appeared to shed layers of fear accumulated during its time trapped in that cruel metal device. It was as if every joyful leap was a reclamation of spirit. Every playful swipe at nature's offerings was an affirmation of resilience against despair. The forest itself seemed to respond to the bear's exuberance as birds chirped cheerily above, while squirrels scurried along branches nearby. Nature rejoicing alongside this creature, rediscovering itself amidst vibrant hues and sounds that filled their shared habitat. After several minutes of unbridled playfulness, the bear finally slowed down noticeably, panting softly from exertion while glancing back toward Alex once more. In that fleeting moment when their eyes met again, there was no mistaking what transpired, a deepened sense of gratitude blossoming within those warm brown depths. It approached Alex cautiously yet confidently now, the wariness having faded into something tender and genuine. The bear stopped just a few feet away, looking up with curiosity mixed with acknowledgement, perhaps recognizing that this hiker had played an integral role in allowing it to experience these moments of joy once more. Alex knelt down slowly, their hearts swelling with emotion, as they mirrored that gaze filled with understanding and appreciation for what had unfolded between them. It was an exchange rooted not solely in words, but rather in shared experiences forged through kindness. An unspoken promise that life would continue onward together toward newfound adventures waiting just beyond each turn. The young bear let out a soft grunt, a sound rich with meaning, and took another step closer before pausing again. In that sacred space filled with warmth and understanding shared between two different beings united by compassion, something remarkable emerged, a connection born not out of fear or survival, but instead from love for life itself. As they lingered there amid whispers of rustling leaves overhead, the forest became witness to an extraordinary transformation not only for this young bear, but also for Alex. A reminder that even through adversity can emerge profound beauty fueled by hope. A joyous exploration into freedom awaited all who dared embrace life wholeheartedly once more. As the young bear continued to explore its surroundings with playful abandon, Alex found themselves lost in thought, reflecting on the extraordinary journey that had unfolded that day. They knelt there, nestled among the ferns and wildflowers, watching the bear embrace its newfound freedom. A wave of emotions washed over them: joy, relief, gratitude, and intertwined with a sense of profound responsibility. In that moment, Alex realized the significance of their actions. They had entered the woods with the intention of enjoying nature and perhaps finding solace in its beauty. Yet, fate had led them to something far greater, a chance to intervene in a life-threatening situation and change the course of a young bear's existence. The weight of that realization settled heavily on their heart, filling it with warmth and purpose. The bond formed between them and the bear transcended mere moments. It was an embodiment of connection rooted in empathy and understanding. Alex couldn't help but marvel at how two beings from vastly different worlds could intersect in such a meaningful way. They had witnessed firsthand the resilience of nature and how compassion could bridge gaps that seemed insurmountable. As they reflected on the bear's transformation from fear to joy, Alex felt a surge of appreciation for wildlife, their struggles, their triumphs, and their unwavering spirit in the face of adversity. This encounter was not just about rescuing one animal. It was a reminder that every living creature plays an integral role in the delicate balance of our ecosystems. Each life mattered, each story intertwined with another in a complex web of existence. Alex's thoughts drifted back to the moment they first laid eyes on the trap, the cold metal jaws that had threatened to snuff out a young life. It was a stark reminder of humanity's impact on nature, both positive and negative. Each decision made by people echoed through forests, rivers, and mountains alike, shaping destinies both seen and unseen. They felt a renewed commitment to advocate for wildlife conservation and education, understanding now more than ever how critical it was to protect these vulnerable beings. The young bear suddenly paused in its playful antics, looking back toward Alex as if sensing their reflective state. In that fleeting moment of eye contact once again, there was an unspoken understanding between them, a shared acknowledgement that life is precious and should be cherished. The bear's gaze seemed to convey gratitude for not only its freedom, but also for the kindness extended toward it at a time when hope felt lost. With every breath taken in that tranquil forest clearing, Alex felt empowered by this experience, It ignited a fire within, a desire to inspire others to recognize their impact on wildlife and their habitats. They envisioned spreading awareness about responsible interactions with nature, encouraging stewardship over exploitation. Standing up slowly, their legs now steady beneath them, Alex took one last look at the bear, now bounding playfully through patches of sunlight filtering through the trees. The sight filled them with warmth as they realized this creature would continue its journey into adulthood, with lessons learned from hardship shaping who it would become. The bond forged today would resonate far beyond this moment. It would ripple through time as a reminder of resilience against adversity, not just for bears, but for all beings striving to survive amidst challenges posed by an ever-changing world. With renewed purpose guiding their steps forward along the path homeward, each footfall echoing hope, Alex felt lighter than they had in years. The burdens once carried, now transformed into something beautiful. A commitment forged through compassion toward ensuring each creature encountered would have its chance at life undeterred by human interference. As they retraced their steps back through familiar trails lined with ferns swaying gently in unison, a new vision emerged in Alex's mind. One where humans coexisted harmoniously alongside wildlife. A world where empathy guided actions instead of apathy. Where each encounter held potential for growth rather than fear. This journey into the woods had changed everything. The way they viewed not only bears, but all creatures sharing this planet, and deepened their understanding of what it meant to stand as allies rather than adversaries against nature struggles. In quiet contemplation beneath towering trees brushed with sunlight, the forest whispered promises yet unfulfilled, stories waiting to unfold within the hearts willing enough to listen, reminding them that every act of kindness created waves reverberating outward into infinity, a legacy worth leaving behind when all is said and done. And so Alex walked onward, heart brimming with hope, determined not just to protect what remained, but also uplift those still seeking liberation from unseen traps lurking within our shared world, ready to embrace whatever came next along this remarkable journey called life. As Alex made their way back along the winding trail, the lessons learned from their encounter with the young bear began to crystallize in their mind. This was more than just a story of one hiker rescuing an animal. It was a poignant reminder of the deeper themes that connected all living beings: compassion, coexistence, and the vital importance of protecting wildlife and their habitats. The act of removing the bear trap had been a singular event, but its implications resonated far beyond that moment. It highlighted a universal truth, that every creature, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, plays a crucial role in the tapestry of nature. The young bear was not just a victim. It was a symbol of resilience, embodying the spirit of wildlife that often faces threats from human encroachment into their territories. Alex recalled how, at first, they had been overwhelmed by fear and uncertainty upon discovering the trap. Yet through that fear emerged an opportunity for action, a chance to confront not only the immediate danger faced by the bear, but also to reflect on humanity's broader impact on the environment. This encounter served as an awakening, illuminating the critical need for compassion towards all creatures and fostering a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness of life. As they continued down the path, Alex thought about how easy it is for people to become disconnected from nature. In modern society, many live in urban environments far removed from the wild landscapes where animals roam free. This separation can lead to apathy, an inability to recognize the struggles of wildlife or appreciate their intrinsic value. However, witnessing the bear's journey from captivity to freedom had opened their eyes to the urgency of advocating for wildlife protection. The lessons learned were clear. Compassion is not just an emotion, it is an imperative. Each individual has a role to play in ensuring that wildlife can thrive alongside humans. Whether through direct action, like rescuing an animal in need, or advocating for policies that protect natural habitats, every effort counts. It reminded Alex that standing up for wildlife went beyond simple gestures. It required commitment and dedication to preserving ecosystems for future generations. Coexistence emerged as another powerful theme from this experience. The forest was not merely a backdrop for human recreation. It was home to countless species that deserved respect and protection. Alex realized that fostering coexistence meant recognizing that humans are part of this ecosystem, not separate from it. By nurturing this connection and understanding our shared dependence on healthy environments, we could cultivate a more harmonious relationship with nature. The young bear had taught Alex more than they could have imagined, not just about bravery in adversity, but about the fundamental need for empathy toward all living beings. It was a reminder that every creature has its own story, its own struggles and triumphs. Just as people seek safety and comfort in their lives, so too do animals strive for survival amidst challenges imposed upon them by external forces. With renewed conviction fueling their steps, Alex began to envision ways they could contribute more actively to wildlife conservation efforts in their community, perhaps organizing educational programs or collaborating with local organizations dedicated to protecting natural habitats. They understood that raising awareness about human impacts on wildlife and encouraging responsible interactions with nature could inspire others to take action. As they neared the trailhead leading back to civilization, Alex felt a profound sense of responsibility wash over them. A responsibility not only to continue advocating for wildlife, but also to share this story with others. It was essential that people understand how interconnected we all are, that our actions ripple through ecosystems far beyond what we can see. In sharing this experience, the rescue of one young bear, they could ignite compassion within others and encourage them to recognize the importance of coexistence with all beings who call this planet home. The opportunity existed for individuals everywhere to become stewards of nature, ensuring that future generations would also have the chance to witness moments of beauty and connection in their own lives. Stepping out from beneath the canopy of trees into open sunlight filled with warmth, Alex felt invigorated, a renewed sense of purpose guiding them forward into an uncertain world filled with possibilities yet unexplored. The lessons learned among those woods would resonate long after they left that place behind, an unbreakable bond forged through action taken out of love for life itself. And so they emerged not just as one individual bearing witness, but as an advocate committed wholly toward protecting wildlife and preserving habitats, a legacy rooted deeply within each encounter shared between humans and nature alike, a testament that compassion can indeed change lives if only we dare embrace our roles as caretakers in this wondrous world together. As Alex approached the trailhead, the sun began its descent, casting a warm golden light across the landscape. The forest, once a realm of uncertainty and tension, now felt like a sanctuary filled with the promise of renewal. Each step taken along the familiar path resonated with the lessons learned and experiences shared with the young bear, moments that would remain etched in their heart forever. Turning back one last time, Alex glanced into the depths of the woods. The bear had retreated into its natural habitat, exploring the world with newfound freedom and joy. It was a poignant reminder of resilience, a living testament to survival against adversity. In that brief moment of eye contact, the silent communication they had shared, Alex felt a profound connection that transcended their differences. They understood that this encounter was not merely a rescue, but rather an awakening to the responsibilities that come with cohabiting the earth. The woods seemed to hum with life, as if celebrating this newfound harmony. Birds chirped overhead, squirrels chattered playfully, and even the rustle of leaves in the gentle breeze felt like nature's applause for what had transpired. Alex breathed deeply, inhaling the rich scent of pine and earth, feeling an overwhelming sense of hope wash over them. This wasn't just a departure from a physical space. It was also a departure from old beliefs about humanity's role in nature. For far too long, people had viewed wildlife as separate from themselves, something to be admired from afar rather than engaged with compassionately. But today had shifted that perspective entirely. Through their actions, Alex had witnessed how kindness could bridge the divide between species, fostering understanding and respect. With each footfall echoing softly on the trail, Alex pondered what lay ahead, not just for themselves but for all beings who call this planet home. They envisioned a future where humans and animals could coexist harmoniously, where wildlife could thrive freely without fear of traps or human interference. It was a vision worth striving for, a world where people actively sought to protect natural habitats and advocate for those who could not speak for themselves. As they reached the edge of the woods and stepped onto familiar ground, Alex felt lighter, freer, filled with purpose. They knew they would share this experience with others, spreading awareness about wildlife conservation and encouraging responsible interactions with nature. Every conversation could spark curiosity. Every story told could inspire change. The ripple effect of compassion extended beyond their individual actions. It could resonate throughout communities and generations. With one last look back at the forest, the place where transformation occurred, they whispered a silent promise to return, to continue advocating for those whose voices remain unheard. Nature had welcomed them today. It had gifted them not only an unforgettable encounter, but also an essential reminder of our interconnectedness. As they walked away from that sacred space, the sun dipping below the horizon, Alex felt an unwavering belief take root within them. That hope exists even in moments of darkness, that compassion can fuel positive change, and that together, humans and animals can create a world filled with harmony. The path ahead beckoned. A journey toward new adventures awaited. Each step forward carrying the weight of responsibility mixed with excitement for what lay beyond each bend in the road. With renewed vigor guiding their way homeward, Alex embraced this hopeful future, a future where every being has a chance to thrive amidst life's complexities. And so they departed from the woods, not just as a hiker leaving behind a beautiful landscape, but as an advocate prepared to kindle compassion within others' hearts, a torch passed down through stories shared among friends and family alike, illuminating paths toward understanding and coexistence. In leaving behind the bear, their kindred spirit, they knew it was not goodbye, but rather an affirmation that life continues onward, always seeking balance amid chaos, forever striving for connection amidst diversity, a dance between humanity and nature woven intricately together across time and space. As twilight settled gently over the horizon, Alex took one last breath filled with gratitude for this transformative experience, a final acknowledgement that within every encounter lies potential, within every act of kindness lies hope, a reminder that we are all part of something greater than ourselves, intertwined in life's remarkable tapestry, a tapestry colored by compassion, understanding, and love. For all beings deserving of freedom in this wondrous world we share together.